I learned about Sovereign through my third-party referral source. I actually had never heard of them before. I didn't even know where I was going until the day I actually showed up here. The events that led up to me seeking treatment were pretty gruesome. I guess they're part of everyone's story. I know I was homeless, living on the streets of Orange County. I am an Orange County native, and I had lost everything. I did have 5.5 years sober at one point in time, and I relapsed after my mom died. And it was just a sequence of events that kind of led to me getting here over 3 years. She died in 2013, and over those 3 years I lost my apartment, my job as a drug and alcohol counselor. I lost my children, my place to live, and I was living on the streets in Winter Park, Anaheim area, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I was miserable, and I kind of sought out help. I was miserable. I was really broken down, and I think about the days that led up to me coming to here like they were yesterday, and I still get choked up about it because it was pretty ugly. I remember sitting there slamming speed and absolutely miserable, and I couldn't slam enough speed to take away the pain of losing my kids and being on the streets. I couldn't slam enough speed to take away the pain of losing my mom, and I couldn't drink enough alcohol to do that, and I was just miserable. Absolutely miserable, and there wasn't enough substances in the world that could take that amount of pain away. And so every time I got loaded, I'd cry and cry and cry. And so finally, the morning that I came here, I laid in fetal position on my bed crying because I couldn't get high enough and I couldn't drink enough alcohol. And I knew that it was either go to treatment or die, because that's kind of where I was at. The help I've received here at Sovereign is like night and day compared to any other treatment center I've ever been at. When I first got here, I wasn't too fond of this treatment center. I'll be very frank when I say that, but I didn't really know what they had to offer. I've been in numerous treatment centers before where it was all social model treatment centers where you detoxed off of whatever substance it may be, and then they kind of threw you out in the community, and you went to groups and you went to AA or NA meetings, and that was that. And then at some point in time you went on job search, you found a job, and you went about your life. And here in Sovereign, I went to I went to detox and immediately got to meet with a psychiatrist, and immediately got to meet with my case manager when I got into treatment, and immediately got to meet with my therapist. And I know that I've never been in a treatment center that was this nice. I go to county facilities. I don't go to private paying or insurance paying facilities. I go to county facilities, and so being able to meet with a therapist twice a week and the psychiatrist once a week and being provided that type of psychiatric care is unsurmountable to any place I've ever been. And the clinical team here is amazing. The different types of groups that they provide for us are awesome, and the legal aid assistance that they provide for us is awesome, because I've never been to a treatment center that provided any type of legal assistance. They might have write you a little note for the courts, and then that was that, but here I've actually sat down with this amazing woman who was able to help with me getting on the road to get my children back, or at least help me sort out my legal issues with that custody issues, and help me sort out my issues with some legal stuff that I've come across the way in treatment. But I can't even talk good enough about Sovereign, because the amount of help that they've provided is unlike any help I've ever gotten in any treatment center. My first impression when I first got to Sovereign was, I didn't quite understand where I was at. I was initially told that I was going to their Palm Springs location, and then I landed in San Clemente, which I was happy about, but at the same time I was very confused. I didn't know which end was coming or going, really, honestly, and I didn't want to be here when I first got here. I didn't like it when I first got here. My impression of this place has quickly changed, but that's what my first impression was of this place. I can't even begin to tell you how grateful I am for this place. My expectations of this place have been met above and beyond I could ever expect to get out of treatment. I come from the gutter. I don't belong in places like this. I don't belong provided this type of help, and I never expected to be given like an awesome case manager that I have. I've never expected to be provided the type of therapy that I've gotten. I've never expected to be provided the type of psychiatric help that I've gotten, because I always thought that I was just crazy and there was no helping that, and I knew if I went to a psych ward or if I was 5150 I'd get that type of help, but I never imagined that I'd be able to be provided that type of help coming to a treatment center. On top of everything else, the legal team, like I stated before, the legal team here has been awesome in helping me meet my needs there. I've never been to a treatment center that ever had a legal team that actually sat down with you and explained things and did research for you and helped you, like, if you need to file paperwork, they'll help you do that. If you need somebody to go to court with them, they'll help you do that. Like, that is the one aspect that has always, I felt, have been missing from treatment centers, and I have worked in the field as a clinician, so I know what you can expect and what you can't expect, and the legal team, I can't impress upon enough, is the one thing that I've never expected to be provided here, and that is like the one thing that has kept me here the most out of everything. It's been amazing, but the legal team has kept me here the most, because that's what I need the most, is legal help, because I don't get that on the streets. As far as the houses are concerned, are amazing. There hasn't been a single house that I've been to that Sovereign has owned that hasn't been amazing. My favorite house is Salvador, and it's because it's the top of the hill, and you get to look out over San Clemente, and that is a beautiful thing. I don't think I've ever been allowed to stay in a house where like you woke up and that was the view that you saw. I can't say enough nice things about the house. They're all beautiful, they're all immaculately kept, they're all in beautiful locations. Every house that I've ever been to, whether it be like, because I've been to Salvador, I've been to Las Cruces, and now I'm at Toledo, and they're all beautiful houses. The therapists and the staff are absolutely amazing. I know there's been a lot of transition for me, and since I've been here 46 days now, and when I first got here, I had this amazing case manager named Nicole, and she was absolutely phenomenal. Like, the heart that she put into her work was amazing. Not to say that other case managers aren't like that, but I know if I can speak for Nicole, she was probably the most amazing case manager I've ever had. Since I've had her, I was transferred to another person's caseload, and my current case manager is Steve, and he is really, really awesome. Like I stated before, that I come from the gutter, I come from hood. Like, I'm not your average San Clemente girl, okay? Like, I have been pretty much raised and come from jails and institutions. I started getting arrested when I was 14 and carried that on into my adulthood. I have 3 prison terms and blah, 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 and so, like, that's the element that I come from. And, I know for me and Steve, we really connected because he can relate to that on a professional level, and he can relate to that on a personal level, and it's important to have that, and so Steve has been phenomenal. I like to joke around and I like to have a good time in my life, in every area, whether it be sober, in my sobriety, or therapy, my case managers, all that. And, me and him joke around a lot, and we have a good time doing it. But, when it's time to get down to the nitty gritty, he's also able to help me do that too. My therapist is awesome. That too I had a transition with. I had my initial therapist, her name was Golhan. She was the most phenomenal therapist I've ever met and had an opportunity to work with. The amount of passion that she put into her work was, I can't even put it into words, the amount of passion she had. I was really, really sad when I got transferred to a different caseload, but my current and my new therapist is awesome too. She's younger. Her name's Nicole too. She's younger, but she doesn't make it hard for me to connect to her. She's younger than me, so sometimes I have a problem connecting with people that are younger than me and trying to take their direction, but she definitely has no problem in having that authority over me, or that, being the director in my life, but she's awesome too. And my clinical team as a whole is amazing, and it's probably what has kept me here. That, and with the psychiatry and everything else, is probably the only thing that has kept me here. there's a lot of schedule changes around here and stuff, and they try to implement new things, and then they void those out. And I know group sessions are good. I struggle with some of the groups, but I know some of the groups are very beneficial. I really like equine therapy and art therapy, and me and a few of the clinicians joke around about those being the only groups I attend, but I do attend other groups. I know that it's hard for me to kind of focus when I have the education and the knowledge and the training that I do in the field of substance abuse, because I am a drug and alcohol counselor, so it's hard. My individual session, whether it be with my therapist or my case manager or any of the staff that I meet with around here, are always awesome. I'm in it this time 100%, and so I joke around and we laugh around about a lot of stuff, but I always try to make sure that I'm real and I'm raw and I'm serious about it, because that's ultimately what it's about. And anybody that knows me well enough knows that I might joke around, but I am very, very serious about my recovery 100%. So. What a typical day here in treatment is like. We wake up like around 6. I wake up at 5:30 just so I have that morning, that half an hour by myself for my meditation and doing my meditation by myself, so I can read my books and so I can get some quiet time in. And then they wake us up at 6 and we do the routine of getting ready, and we're usually here by 8 o'clock in the morning. Tuesdays and Thursdays we go to meditation at the beach, so we don't get here until 9:30. And then from there we have our first 2 or 3 groups, depending upon what time we get here. Ranges anywhere from seeking safety, process group, self-esteem, different women's issues, different stuff that we would need to address in our recovery. Then we have lunch at noon, 12:30ish. And then from there, at 2 is our last group, and then we go home. And that's usually my favorite time of the day because we get to unwind. And I usually go home and read my book or just hang out at home, and then we usually go to an AA or an NA or CA, whatever type of meeting that there is, 12-step meeting there is that night. And then we are usually in bed. Well, I know I feel like I'm old when I say this, but we're usually in bed by 10. I know at least I am. And then we get to start the day all over again. I don't even know if there's one thing that I can single out and say that what I like most about Sovereign. I love being here at Sovereign. The amazing staff here at Sovereign, the amazing staff, and I think that is what makes your treatment and your recovery is the staff here, because you know what, and it's not even the clinical staff or the psychiatric staff, or it's all the staff, from house managers to client advocates to the receptionist at the front door or at the front desk, or the UA people. I love them. They're probably one of my favorite group of staff. It's just this, I think the staff, because that makes or breaks it. If you have staff members working at a treatment center that are absolutely miserable, then your clients are going to be miserable. But if you have staff members in here that make it enjoyable for us to be here, then we want to be here. And that is what's kept me here, is the staff. The genuine friendships that I've gotten to make with staff and with clients here. I know we're not to have dual relationships with staff members, blah blah blah, but I will honestly say that I've made some really, really good friends, and I've gotten close with some of the staff here. And that's what it's about in life. It's about your relationships and how you interact with people, and it's not about anything else. And I always try to make the best out of life, and I think I make every staff member and every client laugh at least once a day around here, and that makes me feel good. I know when we can laugh and joke around about life, then it ain't that bad. I would tell them that Sovereign would probably be the best place to come if they were seeking treatment. What I would tell them is that it's not always what it appears, because I know when I first got here, I was kind of taken aback by this place, trying to figure this place out, but this place is probably the best treatment center I have ever been to. I've never been offered the type of amazing psychiatric care that I've gotten here, along with the clinical team, coupled with the legal team, coupled with the clients that they have here, coupled with everything. This is probably the most unique and beneficial treatment experience I've ever had, and I can tell you that I will stay sober after this. There is no bone to pick about that. I will definitely stay sober after this because there is no going back. The way court services has affected my treatment here at Sovereign was the fact that they had them, for one. And while here, I was going to make some really heavy decisions regarding custody of my daughter. And, if it wasn't for Shannon and court services, I probably would have just taken that and I just would have lied down and signed custody of my daughter over to her grandma. But I got to sit down and talk to Shannon. And she kind of was the one that encouraged me to stand up and fight, and encouraged me to let my daughter know that I love her no matter what and I'd fight for her no matter what. And if it wasn't for Shannon, I probably would have just signed that paperwork and called it a day. But because of that woman in court services who I adore, I get to walk into a courtroom next week with my head held high and fight for my daughter no matter what, just so she knows that I love her no matter what. I think that the value of court services while in treatment is huge. I have been sober before, I have worked in treatment before, and so I've gotten to see it from the client standpoint and the clinician standpoint, and I think that here and now is when we need to address our issues as far as custody or legal or probation or parole or whatever it is. Because if it's not dealt with here and now, and we're left to our own devices to deal with it when we get out, it's not going to happen. Chances are it's not going to happen. It's going to be brushed under the carpet. It's going to be ignored and not dealt with. And we're going to get warrants. We're going to let shit go. Things are going to happen that are not going to be beneficial at all for us and are not going to be conducive to our recovery. And if it wasn't for court services here at Sovereign to help us deal with that here and now, there would be probably a lot of people that were going out there and getting overwhelmed by all that they have to deal with, and either relapsing, ignoring things, catching warrants, going to jail, whatever the case may be, whatever we're facing. And, it's beyond beneficial for us while we're in recovery, because it really tackles the issues head on, early enough to not have it snowball.